I live unbanked off of cryptocurrency, and I use Bitrefill extensively because it lets me pay with crypto at places that don't yet accept it directly. This one service, more than any other, helps me live on crypto, pay your prepaid phone bill, or buy gift cards to thousands of major retailers around the world, all with cryptocurrency, including for exact amounts so you don't have to buy more gift credit than you need for a specific purchase. You can use Bitrefill without an account, but if you get an account, you can earn rewards points, which translate to savings, and you can also hold a balance denominated in dollars or euros to protect yourself against market crashes. Go to bitrefill.com, click Create Account, and enter the referral code DCN, or follow the link in the description. So, hey everyone, happy Friday. Welcome to another news recap show. Hope your week's gone well. It's been a little bit of a crazy week for a few different reasons. Maybe not super mainstream in this whole thing, but why don't we just start off with the first thing, right? So I don't know if you noticed, I uploaded a video a couple days ago about the LBRY court case. So for those who don't know, I mean, you should be watching this on Odyssey, the LBRY-based YouTube alternative, or successor as they like to say. But so LBRY is a decentralized content protocol that basically it's kind of like the marketed as the Bitcoin for content, right? In that it allows anyone to upload and monetize content on their own and kind of have a content platform for like video mostly, but other things too, without kind of censorship that we see on platforms such as YouTube and more. And they got sued by the SEC a couple of years ago. Basically, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission alleged that they were selling illegal securities. And this has been like an ongoing court case. And so they finally had a hearing in the New Hampshire District Court in Concord this week. And so I went there to sort of report on the thing. And let me get some of the sweat out of the way because, man, is it hot in here. Anyway, basically what happened was there was no ruling yet. The judge is basically going to decide in the next 4 to 8 years, 4 to 8 weeks on summary judgment on the case. But basically, LBRY is alleging that, or maintaining, whatever verbiage you want to use, that they're not selling a security because the token is vital to the operation of the network, and that most of the use of the token is consumptive, meaning, being actually used for real things rather than speculative or like an investment. So basically, most people are acquiring this token to use it to upload content, access videos, the other kind of stuff, and not because they think the price will go up or not. So that's kind of what they're, alleging. And now the SEC is coming back and saying, no, it is a security, but the devil's in the details of how they're arguing this. And that's kind of where this gets a little creepy. Because in my humble opinion, the SEC just targeted some crypto firm, wanted to get another win on the board. They started to dig into it, and they realized that, the facts of the case are a little more complicated, not as much in our favor as we thought, but they decided we're going to win it anyway. We're just going to throw anything at the book, and we don't care about the implications. So basically they're saying because the token, the LBRY token, serves a speculative purpose, because it has investment purposes, meaning the price goes up and down on the open market and you can buy it and expect the price to be different at some point. Based on that alone, it is a security. And the judge did kind of grill them to get through their arguments. And basically they said if any or even most of the use is consumptive, meaning, regular usage, that still doesn't matter. It does not matter if LBRY had marketed this thing. It doesn't matter how much they market it as a utilitarian thing and not as an investment. It doesn't matter if they didn't even speak at all publicly, if they didn't market at all. As long as they're selling a token, which can then go on the open market and go up and down, then it's a security. And so another piece of this, it was that, and the expectation of potential increases came from the fact that the protocol would still be developed on. And that's kind of crazy. So basically they say if you sell a token that's tradable on the open market somewhere, which, with the decentralized blockchain, you can't stop that. You can't say, no, this absolutely can't be traded, because they'll trade it anyway. It just happens, right? If you sell a token on the open market that can fluctuate, and there's any way improvement on that, as in it could potentially go up in value. It's not just this is it, this is what it's worth, whatever. Meaning you continue to develop on the protocol, or not you, someone else decides to start developing and improving this thing, and then people therefore could buy it and be like, oh, it's going to be worth more someday because it continues to be improved. That would make that token a security. Now, in addition to this being just a ridiculous argument, let's be honest, the way this works is if you have a judgment entirely in the SEC's favor in this case, you set what's called legal precedent, which basically means this is the way the law will be interpreted from here on out, right? And so it's kind of like a make things up as they go along, or rather, you have certain laws and regulations, and then when there's specific cases of should this law apply in this case or not, all these cases, these rulings end up being like, well, this is how judges decided in the past, so therefore this is how it can be decided in the future. So the problem is if the court rules entirely in the SEC's favor, now you have a situation where almost every, I wouldn't say almost, I would say every single cryptocurrency could be considered a security because they trade on the open market, and most, I mean, maybe not like Coin, are developed consistently, meaning that someone's building and improving the protocol and, you know, making the value of the underlying asset potentially better, right? I guess if you're working on it, you're improving it, it should be more valuable. So because someone can buy it and the price has some potential to go up in the future, that alone would make it a security. So obviously things like Ethereum would be a security. And I even think that without this ruling, you could make the case that Ethereum was a security because a group of people sold Ethereum in an ICO. They sold shares, more or less. They sold tokens that didn't do anything. There was no use for Ether when they sold it. But then now the case for Ethereum being a security is just pretty flimsy because Ethereum powers so much of the crypto ecosystem. There's so many uses for Ethereum as gas fees to power decentralized applications and then get into L2s and all this kind of stuff. It's extremely useful now. And so the thought of like, oh, I buy an Ethereum, I buy some Ether, and you know, it's only for investment purposes it's a little bit silly. In the beginning, though, it could have been made that case. But under this ruling, if it ruled this way, that would now be the case where even today it would be a security because some people would be like, oh, well, Ethereum's being built better. I'm going to buy Ethereum from a staker, let's say, someone who's staking a beacon chain node or whatever, and then they sell some of the ETH that they get from like the proof of stake, you know, block rewards. They sell them, and someone buys them because they're like, well, I see developers are going to implement sharding at some point. This will be more valuable. I'm going to buy some and it could go up. Being security. But then let's go to the sacred cow of everyone, Bitcoin. Yes, Bitcoin also would be a security under this ruling if it went this way, because you have a project, you have tokens that they're out on an open market, right? They've been able to be bought and sold on an open market for well over a decade by now, and the price does go up and down, so you can speculate on them. And I would argue that a majority usage of Bitcoin is speculative at this point. But regardless of that, that's just the way it is. And people are continuing to develop on the Bitcoin protocol. Like the core team continues to develop, patch things, do optimizations, patch bugs, implement different things, et cetera, et cetera. So if you buy Bitcoin today, you can have a reasonable expectation of that end product being more valuable in the future because it will be built upon, it will be improved over the years, or is in the process of being. And so that would make Bitcoin a security, and whoever sells it to you would be selling illegal securities. And so that's probably, let me be honest, even if the ruling goes this way, that's probably not going to be the immediate effect. You would not have all of a sudden everyone who's selling this starts to become convicted of this or that or whatever. My opinion right? My guess on this thing is if that were to happen, what you would have is an excuse, legal precedent, and an excuse to go after anyone they wanted in the crypto space. So let's just say you have a big exchange or something like that, or they're trying to like shut down Binance because they got too big or something like that. They could go and say, nope, you need to register as a securities exchange. And of course, Binance would just pull out of the region or whatever, and they sell plenty of crypto tokens that could much more easily qualify as this without drawing on the LBRY case. But what if you have like something like Swan Bitcoin? I assume they only sell Bitcoin, right? They could be selling illegal securities. Again, if the government decides that they are dangerous enough or that they just don't like them enough, the SEC could decide to sue them for selling illegal securities. Well, which one is it? Bitcoin. Well, how could that be a security? Well, you're selling something that is going to be improved because it's being developed on and is for sale on the open market, and the price can fluctuate. Therefore, that's a security under this alleged LBRY ruling. This is if it turns out this way. And then they could just use that to shut that down and kind of enforce it arbitrarily. And the thing is, like, sure, at the beginning, they probably won't do that. They probably won't do that for Bitcoin because there's too many people in government who have it, et cetera, et cetera. But if they don't like something else, they could just rule that it is that. And the problem is, of course, once they decide to use that, then now that they've ruled that Bitcoin is a security because of all this, case law and stuff, now all of a sudden it just smashes the whole industry, at least in the U.S. And I believe that the U.S. is one of the bigger crypto markets in the world, and it's more hostile than a lot of places to crypto, unfortunately. But I think that it would be disastrous for the U.S. to start to ban and restrict crypto in this kind of a crazy way. And I mean, as far as crypto as a whole, I think it would be detrimental, but definitely not the end of the world. But my guess, if I were to guess, the way this case would turn out is probably some kind of a ruling, just like I mentioned with Ethereum, in my opinion, starting out as potentially a security, but then definitely not today. Maybe making some sort of ruling on that effect. Whereas LBRY will be found guilty of selling illegal securities in the past, but the modern token will not be considered a security. Anyway, I mean, I don't know if that's just nonsense, but that's kind of what I could sort of see happening. I mean, maybe it's just the wishful thinking in this thing, but LBRY has already said that they've already borne most of the cost of this. Like, a negative decision wouldn't really change much because they've already lost a bunch of money, gone to court, gotten delisted places, just had all the negative effects of no one wanting to work with someone who's under SEC investigation or active lawsuit. And then there we go. So I don't know, we'll see what happens, but it's something that, even though it's a relatively small project in terms of like market cap and such, it's something that the entire crypto space, in my view, should be watching for the ramifications it could have on U.S. crypto policy. All right, let's go to the next thing, right? 3AC, or 3 Hours Capital, founders revealed ties to Terra founder, blame overconfidence for collapse. I can't even get on with reading this without a little bit of a head shake. Man, the founders of tainted crypto hedge fund 3 Arrow Capital, which filed for bankruptcy the first week of July, have finally resurfaced after 5 weeks of no known whereabouts. In an interview with Bloomberg, the crypto hedge fund's 2 founders, Su Zhu and Kyle Davies, admitted that the overconfidence born out of a multi-year bear market, where lenders saw their value swell by virtue of financing firms like 3AC, led to a series of bad decisions that should have been avoided. Zhu also revealed that their closeness to Terra founder Do Kwon and claimed that they believed the firm was going to do big things. He admitted that the firm's closeness to Terra made them overlook certain red flags about the firm, which eventually led to their $500 million worth of investment going to zero. Oof. Big oof, right? I'm sure the crypto space is rife with this sort of thing, right? Of people kind of getting carried away. Oh, we're making big money now. Just start to ignore red flags. And, Terra Luna is one of these projects. It was like, we're going to solve all this finance stuff. We're going to make a decentralized central bank and issue all this, and everyone can make 20% in perpetuity and all, like, there's all this nonsense, right? And especially because Terra Luna means like Earth Moon, like Earth to Moon. We get to the moon and Luna Moon, and then Do Kwon was like making all these pumpy things. It's easy for people to get caught up, but when you're having a $500 million in money just based on that, I mean, it's grossly negligent. And it seems like obviously the Terra collapse was something could have happened, right? And it did. The thing is, the domino effect we've seen with just so many firms like Celsius, like Voyager, BlockFi, everything else going belly up because of this 3 hours capital thing, because of Terra. It kind of underscores not only how small the space still is, but also how relatively centralized it still is, and how CeFi is a giant risk in the space. I mean, we all talk about DeFi and stuff. The problem is DeFi is just starting out. There's not a lot of good DeFi stuff out there. It's like 90% of it's probably been on Ethereum, and a lot of little competitors come around nipping at the heels. And then you got Thorchain, which I think is one of the better examples of this, but it's still like relatively small compared to the centralized institutions that since DeFi came out, they basically gave DeFi-like products to their customers, but without the underlying DeFi. They basically said, like, oh, well, look, you can do sushi swap and stake this governance token and pledge this and liquidity that and all this kind of stuff. And then at that point, it's just like, okay, well, why can't we do the same? Why doesn't Coinbase offer this? Why doesn't Voyager offer this? Why doesn't everyone offer this kind of stuff? So they do, but not in a way that is solvent. And the thing about true DeFi is true DeFi can never really be insolvent, because it just like liquidates, and then there you go. The free market sorts things out. Like, if you have like auto liquidation things, et cetera, et cetera. So there's always going to be some kind of a way where it all evens itself out. Whereas if you make a bunch of risky investment things, you get wrecked and maybe tank coin prices and stuff like that. But it's not quite the same as like people not having their money anymore when they thought they were. It's a lot easier for people to get wrecked knowing that there's a risk of getting wrecked. And it's also with the code, with open source technology, you can see what is going to happen if you're smart enough to audit the code, or someone. It's all out there. It's not like you don't know the private investment decisions of these companies behind closed doors, and then they can just make some stupid decision and they get completely destroyed. So I think that this big shakeout, like, there's no way people are going to stop working with crypto. There's no way that DeFi is just going to go away. But having these collapses is going to make people a lot more gun shy on a lot of things. And I think will push a lot more responsible stuff in the CeFi space. But I think it'll also push a lot of stuff to the DeFi space where people know what they're kind of doing. So, like, for example, if you're taking out some crazy leverage position, well, okay, fine. You can get wrecked. But if you are just depositing on a platform and you're promised like 10% APY or something in some like basic crypto that is not going belly up, like just say Bitcoin, right? If you got like 8% interest on your Bitcoin, okay. But then you kind of expect to still have it. And if whatever's giving you that interest doesn't exist anymore, you can expect to get it back. Now, so something like Thorchain, for example, which provides like liquidity providing and stuff, you can provide liquidity and earn a certain amount on the stuff. And at some point, hopefully in the near future, you'll be able to do single-sided liquidity providing, where you can just deposit, let's just say Bitcoin, and earn a percentage on that, fluctuating percentage, whatever. And so when you get that, if stuff doesn't work, you just don't get paid anymore. If the whole thing, you can get a refund unless there's some big exploit in the code or something like that. And so I really think that things like that are going to start to kind of take things down a notch with the whole thing. That doesn't mean I'm naive, and doesn't mean I think that in a pure DeFi world with well-audited code, you won't still see exploits, but not just exploits. You won't still see people getting crazy in doing over leveraged things and having a giant cascading effect of crashing prices that kind of ends up having a series of liquidations across the whole DeFi space. Yeah, that'll still happen, but it won't quite be, the same as like a protocol going bankrupt overnight. It's not going to be the same as like a company or a company saying, now saying, oh, like Voyager, I believe it was Celsius, I think, was saying that like once you deposit your money, you no longer own it. It's ours now. And like crazy stuff like that. But anyway, CeFi gonna CeFi. Let's check this one out. Residents in nations with volatile economies are more likely to receive their pay in cryptocurrency, according to global hiring platform Deal. In its State of Global Hiring report shared with Cointelegraph on Thursday, the firm found that despite the 2022 bear market, crypto represented 5% of all global payments withdrawn from the platform every month, up from 2% in the second half of 2021. Residents in nations with volatile economic situations and currencies were most likely to make their payments in crypto, according to the report. These include countries in the Latin America region and Europe, Mideast, and Africa. And so, especially, this is interesting, crypto withdrawals in the LATAM, or Latin American region, represented 67% of the total, with the rest of the countries at 24%. So, isn't this funny, right? People, anytime there's a big crypto volatility incident or a crash or something like that, people always run away and like, oh, see, this is why government, or a bunch of nonsense. But people in, I guess, developing countries or with traditional financial challenges still see crypto as, something that's pretty good. And relatively speaking, it definitely is. And so this is, in my view, not only underscores what crypto is and how it's like useful and stuff like that, but it also underscores that I think that we are in for a shakeup as far as like a global wealth shakeup. Like right now, the developed world, right, like US, Western Europe, some parts of Asia, I don't think they're going to be on top forever as far as like the economy. I think that you'll see places like Latin America and Africa start really booming financially. And a lot of this comes from adopting much more dynamic and efficient and future-proof tech earlier because they just kind of have to leapfrog, the old financial system. And so, yeah, I definitely would not take my eye off of the developing world for this. All right. Next, in a joint report published by Boston Consulting Group, BitGet, and Foresight Ventures, data shows that crypto adoption is still very low compared with traditional investment assets. According to BCG, only 0.3% of individual wealth is invested in crypto, which is comparable with the 25% put into equities. The report concludes that the shallow investment penetration means that there's still a lot of room for more substantial growth and adoption within the crypto industry. In addition, the report compares the internet's adoption curve to reach 1 billion users with current cryptocurrency holders and Ethereum addresses with non-zero balances. The report mentions there's plenty of growth to come. By comparing the data, the researchers predicted that crypto users may reach 1 billion by 2030 if the trendline continues on its course. Yep, I think that that's pretty fair of a prediction. My gut feeling prediction that I've mentioned a few different times has been next bull market, we're going to start to see the early majority start to use crypto in a lot of the world. So, meaning this last bull market has brought crypto into everyone's mind. Everyone knows what it is, basically, at least in developed countries. Everyone knows what it is. A lot of people have used it in some way, as in they've bought it, they've had some of it on an exchange once, like that kind of stuff. And based on the way it's been going, I believe that the next bull market, so let's just say that the peak of this bull market was 2021, so let's just hit it 4 years, 22, 23, 24, 25. Somewhere 2025 or so, we should have like an early majority adoption type thing. So what that would mean is, maybe not a billion, but maybe 100 million, something like that. Like a bunch of people having exposure to this, to where you could see like the average business in a developed area might see a couple of one or two people paying in crypto every day. Still not a majority of consumers by a long shot. Still not even like a significant chunk, but like enough to where most businesses that accept this will start to, like, they won't have to retrain their employees all the time because I don't know how to do that because no one pays. Like, no, there'll be enough people paying, and it'll be, a group of people where it won't be that weird to see someone who tries to live off crypto like I do. I won't be the weirdo anymore. So that's kind of my prediction. And so then you add, let's say, another another bear, and then building bear, right? And then bull market right after that. And then you could easily see like 1 billion people, out of, what is it going to be by then? 8 billion people on the planet or something. I have no idea what it's predicted to be. But then you could just see it's basically a mainstream tech. It's basically something that a lot of the world is using. And I can't wait for that day, honestly. A lot of building in the meantime, but let's go do it, right? And finally, because most of the people are going to be haters on this stuff, but the Ukrainian government will be using the proceeds of sales from an online non-fungible token, or NFT, museum to restore artwork in the real world. According to a Friday announcement and information shared with Cointelegraph, Ukraine's Ministry of Culture and Information Policy said that the government's Meta History Museum of War platform, aimed at preserving the timeline of major events in Russia's war with Ukraine, raised 803.28 Ether, which is roughly 1.3 million at the time, through NFT sales. The ministry said proceeds from these sales will go towards the restoration of Ukrainian cultural institutions, many of which have been damaged or destroyed by missile attacks from Russia. Now, before I say the positive things, I would like to acknowledge that the conflict, while definitely tragic, and I don't think justified in the slightest, or I don't know about in the slightest, but just I don't think justified. There's been a lot of nonsense, and I'm not sure if I would just believe one of these two, either the Russian or Ukrainian government, what they say on their version of what happened, and even less that they're going to take all this money that people are doing, that they're raising, and just actually do something constructive with it. I mean, it could just be embezzled right away. And I'm not being so naive as to drop my skepticism. That being said, conceptually, I mean, why doesn't the government, like, I don't know how far I want to go on this, but maybe I jumped to the end a little too quick. I think this shows a great kind of use case for NFTs where, you can sell digital collectibles and raise money for causes a lot easier than you could before, because I guess it's like, oh, let me buy a lapel pin or a little postcard. So it's like, not everyone wants some more crap to hang around their office. Buying a little provably scarce digital thing is, I guess, easier to buy. It's an easier donation kind of option to do. You donate, but you get a thing. And then, especially because of the potential resale value on robust open markets, makes it so that people, it's not just, I want to support them. It's like, well, I kind of want to, but I also want this thing, the shiny thing that maybe I can flip for something better, or maybe they have perks or whatever, or maybe you buy it and then, in a few years, 6-7 years, you decide to visit Ukraine and you're like, I got to bring my NFT, and then it lets you into a special museum or a special experience, or gives you discounts, like a tourist discount around town if you bought one or something. I think that's really cool. And I really hope that governments start going more into this. And the end that I almost jumped to a couple of minutes ago is, why doesn't the government raise all their money like this? Like, as I mentioned before, the Hall of Flags in New Hampshire is funded, by the government, but not by tax dollars, by commemorative liquor sales at the liquor store. So they sell a little commemorative liquor bottle, and all the proceeds from that go to like restore this, like, and maintain this historical display in the state capitol. And so what if, the government just sold NFTs to fund everything, the road NFTs, whatever, and then you get some special perks that would come with that if you had that, and all, as well as, like, you just have the whole collection of, like, I am a proud supporter of state government for the last 10 years in a row. I got them all. I collected them all. And it's just like a thing to display of like, I'm a good citizen and stuff like that. And of course, when you start having to sell things and enter into a voluntary back and forth agreement to get your financing, the kinds of things that people are willing to do that, like the quality of the product you have to return to the person, the individual, the consumer, has to go way up. Like the way it is right now, I don't want to give any more money to my town or state government, period. It definitely not the national one. Oof. But if it was on that kind of a contractual level, I might even fund town things at a higher rate than I'm involuntarily doing it through taxes now, just because first off, hey, cool shiny thing, that whatever. But also it's like, well, what are you going to do with this? Well, how much of the money went to this? Like, well, what are we actually getting? It's like, well, yeah, this much in NFT sales last year, and this is what you did with it, and it just, the roads still suck. No, I'm not going to buy any more of this stuff. But it's like, oh, well, we actually are doing something useful. I think that would be great. So the fact that Ukraine is doing it, the government of Ukraine, I should say, is doing this now, means that we're very much closer to this sort of situation than you would think. And so, I mean, I'm about to launch into a bunch of like NFT stuff for this channel. So we'll see how that goes. But I would love to do more than just for this channel. I'd love to start experimenting with, you know, NFT funded everything. Like anytime I want to do like any NFT funded public goods, like even if it's art, just like, oh, I want to create something beautiful for whatever, but like also like, you know, trash pickup and stuff. Like I would love to just mint a whole bunch of NFTs, and for people who voluntarily clear in the town, you get your little shiny badge, and whenever you get that, I could find a way to giving them something else. Like, hey, you know, why don't you come over? I'll hold a party for NFT holders. You can come on in, and something like that. Anyway, enough rambling. This concludes the news recap, etc. I hope you liked, and make sure to share it and subscribe and all that stuff, and comment too. I do read your comments and stuff. I think I've stabilized my internet. I think they've fixed what was wrong. We'll give it a little bit more time to make sure that's true. But if it is, then we're back to live shows. Also, if we're back to live shows, man, I gotta do something about the heat in this room. It's getting pretty hot. Hopefully the heat wave is over and everything turns out well. But anyway, thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.